The House comes to questions for oral answer. Question number 1, in the name of David Seymour.
Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister of Police and reads as follows. Does she believe the public has a right to be concerned about police conducting roadside breath screening tests with the intention of collecting personal information for investigations unrelated to road safety? And if not, why not?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr Speaker, while there is no ministerial responsibility for the genuinely held views of members of the New Zealand public, and both Section 16 of the Policing Act 2008 and the Cabinet Manual preclude my intervention in particular policing operations, I can confirm that the Commissioner of Police has referred this incident to the Independent Police Conduct Authority for investigation.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Does the Minister believe it is a good use of police resources to interrogate law-abiding people attending a peaceful meeting of an advocacy group, given an 18% spike in burglary reported by Statistics New Zealand just this week?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Mr Speaker, I think I've answered that question very clearly. This is not a matter that I can comment on. It's currently with the Independent Police Conduct Authority, and for me to make a statement about that or have any sort of view would in fact actually try to influence the IPCA, and this is not a Labour government, this is a national government.
Order. Question number 2. Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Can the Minister comment on whether she is completely satisfied with how police currently allocate their resources, given increases in assault, sexual assault, abduction, kidnapping, robbery and extortion, but no reported increases in rogue advocacy groups in Mongaraki?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr Speaker, clearly the member isn't aware that road policing is actually funded out of the Ministry of Transport, not out of police.
True.
Order. Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Does the Minister agree with Privacy Commissioner John Edwards when he says there would be pretty troubling aspects, end quote, to an operation that used the statutory power and indeed funding provided under the Land Transport Act to gather personal information for a different purpose?
The Honourable Judith
Well,
Collins.
Mr Speaker, I'm not sure how many times I need to tell that member that I have no intention of wading into an investigation that the Independent Police Conduct Authority is undertaking. I take my responsibilities very seriously, and I also would refer the member to not only the Policing Act 2008, Section 16, but also the Cabinet Manual on this issue.
Supplementary.
Order. Supplementary question, David Seymour.
Does the Minister have any views about how a police force should operate and how it should allocate its resources?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Yes, I do. And one of the ways I believe that police should operate is not to have politicians telling them how to do their job.
Order. Order. David Seymour, supplementary question.
Will she guarantee that someone will eventually be held accountable for this gross breach of civil liberties?
The Honourable Judith Collins.
Well, Mr Speaker, I think the member's jumping to conclusions. I suggest he leave it to the Independent Police Conduct Authority, which is the right and proper place, and people to look into this issue.
Supplementary.
The member has used his allocation. Question